And we're live! And welcome to the latest edition of Botha Rants. My name is Sophia Botha. Welcome to the YouTube stream where we go through all the latest LGBTQ and political news of interest. And once again, I'm joined by Ozma.
Hello.
Ozma. Now we're going a bit early tonight because I've got to go onto another stream, something called Rainbow Shelter News. I think it's a stream where we discuss how comfy our George Soros provided meat suits are.
Look, mine has. Look, I forget to clean mine sometimes, so mine is nice and cleaned up, and so I am looking dapper.
You do look like you've had a wash today, so.
Yeah, I exercised and had another shower, and like my laundry's all clean, so.
And also, while you were out, you spotted that the National Guard is out in force in Minneapolis.
Yeah, well, Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Yeah.
I live in St. Paul, so it's always fun seeing National Guard in St. Paul for something happening in Minneapolis.
Yeah, Tempest says that she spotted that she's also spotted the National Guard.
Yeah.
She lives in Minneapolis. I told her I'd give her a mention in this stream. Anyways, yes. So we've started a little early so that we can get as much in as possible, and there's plenty to talk about as always. So last night I was on Kevin Logan's channel. We did a stream. Now the title is a little misleading. We did talk about some anti-LGBTQ stuff, and
well, I mean, TERF Island is the obvious name for Britain, so.
Well, yeah, I mean, we are practically TERF Island, I don't agree. But the first half of the show, we discussed disability rights, which doesn't get talked about enough. I know that you were watching because I saw you in the chat. Anyways.
Yeah, but on two separate accounts I was watching. I originally started on my phone, and then I actually logged in the computer closer to the end, and yeah.
And we last night I did give a shout out to Disabled People Against Cuts for their direct action protests to raise awareness about the plight of disabled people, and you know, I do applaud some of the stuff they've done. You know, getting into Parliament and protesting in the lobby there, on a couple of occasions. However, when I posted up this video this morning on their group, their Facebook group, I encountered this. I was essentially accused by a TERF of being a paedophile because I'm a trans woman. And if you don't see that yourself, basically it's that basically they posted an article. I'm aware of the case of a trans activist who was possibly sadly involved in paedophilia, and basically it's the basically trying to tar me with the same brush. It's a bit like saying all Muslims are terrorists. It's a gross inaccurate generalization.
And you always have it for women's hard fought rights.
Yeah, well, trans women are women too.
Yep. And also, the taking away trans rights oftentimes takes away women's rights. So honestly, the end result of a lot of TERF rhetoric is stuff that will harm women. And
well, a couple of points I'd make. First of all, obviously, people at DPAC will say, well, this is not necessarily someone involved with DPAC itself. It's just a member of a Facebook group. True, and that's the same argument I made during all the accusations about Jeremy Corbyn and his supporters being anti-Semitic, because often, when the media reported on there being anti-Semitism, they got screenshots from Facebook groups, and you didn't know whether those people being anti-Semitic, making anti-Semitic posts, were actual bona fide members of the Labour Party, or were they just trolls on that group, bots trying to make Jeremy Corbyn look bad. I think it was an element of both. But the thing is, this person actually blocked me from replying, so that tells me they might be possibly a moderator on this group. So that means they possibly could be involved with DPAC. And the problem I have with that is that this is a lack of intersectionality yet again. If disabled people want support in battling the evilness of the Tories, then they need to support the rights of other oppressed minorities, because if disabled people shit on trans people, then don't expect trans people to support them.
Also
another point is that for a disabled activist to argue essentially biological is absolutism, which is kind of what TERFs do. I would point out, well, that's only one step away from fascists, and fascists tend to argue that disabled people are inferior, because of genetics and biology. So and I know what they're going to say. Well, disability is separate from gender. No, the point is that bigotry is bigotry. And if you're going to be bigoted towards others, expect others to be bigoted towards you. Otherwise, what you could do is work for everyone to have equality.
Yeah, well, what I was going to say is the end result is if a woman in a wheelchair looks too manly, she can be rejected from a women's bathroom, and it's hard enough for women in wheelchairs to get a decent bathroom, and they're just making it harder.
Well, yeah. Also, there are some. I have heard some, because some trans people are provided with the key for the disabled toilet, or what's called the gender-neutral toilet. I mean, I've got a key for the disabled toilet. Basically, in this country, you can buy a skeleton key, which basically will unlock most disabled toilets in this country, and it's quite handy at train stations where they try to charge you for using the toilets. Basically, I've got it because I'm disabled. I've had it since before I transitioned. I've had one for about 20, maybe 25 years. But I have heard disabled people, moan about trans people getting these keys as well. Now, the thing is, most trans people don't want that key. They want to be able to use the toilet of their gender.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and this was all before 9 a.m. this morning. I got this.
Yay.
Yeah, great. Before I'd had enough fucking caffeine.
Yeah. Lovely way to start the day.
So, as I was talking with Kevin last night about, the Tories have disbanded the LGBT advisory panel after members quit over Tory hostile environment. Yes, I mean, there have been...
Wait, Tories are hostile to LGBTQ members? Shock.
Well, LGBTQ people in general.
Well, yeah.
I mean, there are actually some Tory MPs who have complained about the government's hostile attitude towards LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
Someone did say to me yesterday, well, at least the Tories are now showing their true colours. The thing is, can I just remind people, well, yeah, but it's not like Labour are any better because, Keir Starmer, went and visited, a church which espouses homophobic rhetoric,
yeah.
and then took 3 fucking days to apologise. Within that time, you had a member of the Shadow Cabinet, Rachel Reeves, making one of the most cringeworthy fucking defences of Keir Starmer I've seen. It's the choice for LGBTQ people at the moment is not good. I mean, I'm going to suggest the Green Party because they have made an effort to speak up for trans people in particular. There's now going to be very little direct input from LGBT advisors, people who have lived experience of being LGBTQ. But the thing is this really a surprise? No, this has been on the cards ever since Boris got, walked through the door of number 10. We knew that he was going to go down the Trumpian route. So the other thing which has been in the news is that already it's taking forever to load. Basically, Boris Johnson says conversion therapy ban won't cover prayer for sexual orientation or gender identity.
Yeah.
Now, basically, the Tories have been promising since 2018 that they would ban conversion therapy. Now, Boris is saying that they will, but the thing is, there'll be so many fucking loopholes. It won't be worth the paper it's written. This ban won't be the worth the paper it's written on. Essentially, churches would still be able to carry out exorcisms on LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah?
Always fun.
Now, there was a discussion about this, actually, on Politics Live, and Tim Montgomery, being the arsehole he is, proved himself to, well, be an arsehole.
My colleague, political correspondent Jess Parker, she tweeted, the government's LGBT advisory panel has been disbanded after 3 advisors quit last month. Terms of office had been due to expire at the end of March, but panellists told me last night they were willing to carry on. Now, this happened amidst fierce criticism from a number of members who, as we heard there, who resigned over what they called a hostile environment for LGBT people. We spoke to one of the members that resigned.
Can I just interject here? The UN has criticised the Tory government's hostile attitude towards the LGBTQ community, in particular trans people. But
that doesn't surprise me.
But the Tories aren't going to take any fucking notice. I mean, there was 2 fucking UN reports condemning their treatment of disabled people.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't. UK and the US don't listen to the UN. Look, we
Well,
are fine
neither does
with
the
our
Israel.
chemical warfare that we use on citizens continuously.
Neither does the Israeli government, but they're protected by the US government.
Yeah.
Jane Ozanne on the 11th of March. She cited the example, criticism of the government's failure to ban conversion therapy despite promises to do so. Let's have a listen to her.
You know, after 1,000 days of trying to advise the government, trying to get them to see sense over what a ban should include, primarily that it should include trans people, should protect people against religious practices, they're still just talking about ending. They're not talking about legislation, and they're not listening to what so many of us have been trying to say over the years.
I mean, it is quite strong criticism, and it was then back in March, Andrea, that the government hasn't lived up to its commitment to the LGBT community. And in fact, the Conservative MP Crispin Blunt, who leads the all-party parliamentary group on global LGBT plus rights, said that the government is led by one of the most socially liberal live and let live leaders in our history, and yet it is making a series of unforced errors that will serve to wholly unnecessarily alienate LGBT.
Can I just say that Boris Johnson's live let live, attitude. He's got an attitude. He's got a history of homophobia. He described gay men as bum boys who wear tank tops. That comes to mind. So
I was gonna say something separate.
Can you keep an eye on the chat?
Because I will. I was just gonna say, when you look there, there's like a cross between there was a cross between the BBC thing and your other window for some reason. It was like a weird hybrid thing. So I don't know what's up, but I can read the one chat message.
Yeah, I saw it. Just keep an eye, because I did have TERFs in the title, and I know that they might come looking. All right.
Plus people and do untold damage to his reputation. What's going on?
Well, I don't really recognise what Crispin is saying. I think that this...
Well, you wouldn't, Andrea, because you've also got a history of homophobia.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's
she
weird
basically
how homophobes don't recognize homophobia.
She basically when she was contesting the Tory leadership with Theresa May, basically said that LGBTQ people weren't normal. Yes, I remember that from 5 years ago.
Government under the current Prime Minister Boris Johnson and under previous Prime Ministers have been incredibly determined to improve the rights and equality for LGBT plus.
They're working so hard to.
Right. Dragging your feet on conversion therapy and shelving self-ID. How is shelving self-ID, helpful to trans people? It's not. Yeah?
Yep.
Whereas various other countries have progressed in doing so. Denmark, Ireland, Canada, Israel. Yeah? Britain's shelf fucking plans. We're lagging fucking behind in giving equality to fucking trans people. I mean, why is it... If cisgendered people don't have to fucking validate their fucking gender, well then why should trans people?
Yeah. Communities, and have done great strides forward. So, and I know the Prime Minister himself has said he's absolutely determined to see conversion therapy banned. So
Yes, and Boris Johnson lies a lot. And I would imagine that's one lie. Yeah? Donald Trump held up a pride flag. But who was the worst president when it came to rolling back legal protections for LGBTQ people? Oh yeah, Donald Trump.
Don't really recognise what Crispin is saying.
You're the conservative, largely lesbian and gay people who are saying that it's not because of Trump. It's the people it's the people Trump put into office, as if that isn't also still Trump's fault.
Hang on.
Yeah, except they
I think-
haven't actually gone ahead and banned that therapy as promised. And by the way, we could just hear the division bell in the background there, just to tell viewers the starting of business issues in the Commons. Adam, the committee was due to wind up anyway at the end of March, and Liz Truss, who is in charge of it in her remit as Equalities Minister, is...
And who dog whistles to TERFs. She sat in front of a parliamentary select committee saying that she didn't think that trans people should get health care until they were 18 years old, thus being prevented from transitioning, and said that women's only spaces were an important issue. The protection of women only spaces, sorry. Both of which are dog whistles to TERFs.
setting up a replacement. So the commitment to LGBT rights is ongoing.
No, but many of the existing members that hadn't resigned expressed a desire for it to continue, and the fact that
Oh, yes, I should explain to people outside the United Kingdom. Plaid Cymru, the Party of Wales, they're basically Welsh nationalists. They want Welsh independence. Okay, just to tell you.
there hasn't been a replacement put in place, I think is symbolic of a government that is rowing back from its promises to the LGBT community, particularly in terms of the refusal to bring forward a comprehensive ban on conversion therapy. And explicitly, the Prime Minister has said that religious forms effectively of conversion therapy, including exorcism, etc., which are a huge worry to the LGBT community, they will be allowed to continue. And of course, the government has also rolled back from its commitment in terms of reform of the Gender Recognition Act and any sort of progress in terms of the trans community at all. And put that all together, here is a government that is definitely, as Crispin Blunder said, is alienating the LGBT community and moving backwards in terms of its commitment to LGBT equality.
Right, well, Andrea, there are some examples.
I just, as I say, I simply do not agree. I think that this government, members of parliament in this government, ministers are absolutely determined to promote equality, and particularly to focus on the rights of...
The Conservatives do not believe in fucking equality. They believe in survival of the fittest. Yeah. If you want any more explicit, anyone saying that more explicitly, go and check out the show me and Ozma, the stream me and Ozma did on the Conservative TMZ panel discussing LGBTQ issues. And John Doyle essentially said that Conservatives do not believe in equality. They believe in survival of the fittest. They're fucking fascists, right? Yeah. So they should, and he said they should naturally, because they don't believe in equality, should actually oppose LGBTQ equality. Now, I'm not saying the Conservatives here, the Conservative Party here, is as bad as some elements of the GOP, but it's just a blatant lie. This government believes in equality. I mean, the other one,
chat.
Sorry, go on.
Oh, someone in chat brought up a good point, that they have a different idea of what equality means. And I would say it's sort of like what Martin Luther King said during the civil rights movement. They want equality for white people and, black people to be continue to be subservient.
I mean, a couple of weeks ago we had the report about institutionalized racism, saying, "Oh, there's no such thing," because that's what the Tories wanted to hear. They will set up continuous fucking inquiries until they get the fucking answer they want to hear, not the actual truth. And the truth is, they don't believe in equality, whether it's race equality, whether it's gender equality, whether it's LGBTQ equality. They just don't believe in equality. It's against their whole ethos.
of LGBT plus communities. And there is a wealth of evidence, all the way from same-sex marriage to all of the work that Liz Truss has done as Minister for Equalities. And actually, just on the subject...
But what are the things? Because Adam's just listed a number of things in which the government has rowed back on.
I don't recognise what Adam's saying. He's sort of saying we've rowed back from this and we've rowed back. Where's his evidence for that? The Prime Minister said at the dispatch...
he just fucking listed it, Andrea. Do you fucking listen?
Yeah, no, that's just trying to roll back reality.
Yeah.
Just literally a couple of weeks ago, I was in the chamber, that he was disgusted by the fact that conversion therapy was still going on, and he wanted to see it ended. Now, the fact that...
Well, if he's so fucking disgusted, why doesn't he just get on with it? Okay? And stop saying we're going to ban. Yeah, I keep hearing this from the Tories. We're going to ban, conversion therapy. We're going to ban conversion therapy. We're going to ban conversion therapy. Just fucking get on with it, and have a blanket fucking ban, not one which is going to, is going to give loopholes to your fucking Christian nutcase fundamentalist supporters.
The legislation hasn't come forward. There is so much legislation for any house. At any time, and it's not possible to bring everything forward at the same time.
Okay.
So, I don't think there is no sort of deliberate delay.
Adam?
And it's simply not true to say that because an advisory panel has come to an end, it was set up under the previous Prime Minister, and I know that Liz Truss will be looking very carefully at how to get advice from the LGBT plus communities to take forward this work.
All right, Adam?
The Prime Minister has explicitly written to the Evangelical Alliance to say that religious interventions can continue. And on...
Right, exactly. As I said, the fucking Conservatives are pandering to those who support them, the Christian nutcase fundamentalists.
The trans rights,
and
as a government...
exorcism should be banned.
Yeah.
And you had a consultation, and you explicitly said you're not going to reform the process of somebody changing their gender identity. So you completely moved away from what you were committed to doing.
Andrea?
No, I'm sorry, Adam. If you have a consultation, that does not mean that you therefore commit to doing absolutely everything that is within a consultation. It is a consultation, and the government then has to take into account the balance of all views and make appropriate steps going forward. So,
and you've come out against trans equality. You've come out against those in the trans community or asking...
No. What the government is seeking to do is to get the right balance between the rights of different communities, and that...
TERF dog whistle.
Well, I mean, it's the classic centrist argument, which oftentimes goes towards conservatism.
Both sides of the argument. Here's the two sides of the argument: bigotry or progress. Bigotry's not, any side of any argument. Okay.
That is very, very important. And I deeply regret that you're somehow implying that because the government hasn't fully taken one perspective that perhaps you would prefer to take, that somehow that...
It's not one fucking perspective, it's the perspective of the fucking trans community.
Well,
okay?
Not just that.
Yeah, it's very, very simple. At the moment, legally, trans people are second-class fucking citizens. Okay? That's not equality.
Yeah, but I mean, also, when it comes to things, sometimes you just take one perspective. You take the perspective that will cause the greatest good. And if you're just going to, you don't generally take the anti-science perspective in things, because they're when making policies that affect large groups of people, because that will make people more likely to die. And similarly, you try to take the ethical position. You don't just go, if this was the 60s, she would be one of the people saying, I want to see both sides, and segregation is the best path to try to, keep them separate but equal. I mean, it's the same sort of argument, and that's not how you make real positive change. They like to take credit for change that occurs and then argue for a separate but equal type policy.
That is against equality for transgender people, because this government is absolutely committed to equality for all people, including LGBT plus communities and the trans people.
Andrea.
So it's simply not.
Yeah, I wonder every time does she say it, does her nose grow an inch? Yeah, Andrea, the more you fucking say it, the more, I don't believe you. All right?
Yeah.
You're explicitly opposing what the trans community is calling for.
Right, well, let me bring the others in, because Jane Ozanne, who you heard there, who was one of the members of the former committee and the now disbanded committee, you heard her criticism, but she also said there are many who fear that we are going back to the days of Margaret Thatcher, the days of Section 28. The language I hear from them is of us being woke or of being loud lobby groups.
Yeah, it does feel like that. It does feel like we're going back to the days of Section 28. It really does feel like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your response to that?
Well, actually, I remember the programme where you had Jane on.
Right.
She's an old friend from Christian circles for me, and I reached out to her after that programme, and we had an interesting conversation. And I think one of the issues, take issue slightly with what Adam has just said, let's talk of a sort of LGBT community as if it's one voice that speaks in the same way on every issue. And I think that isn't the case. There are actually quite big differences of opinion within these various communities.
Oh, what? You mean you, Rosa Dawn, Kelly Maloney, Nikki Sinclair, and a few other disgruntled fucking true scum turfy cunts? No. Generally, 99.9% of the trans community are agreed, okay? That, we want self-ID, okay?
Yep.
Communities on issues like trans rights. And I think what the government is trying to do is not necessarily listen to the loudest voices or the most persistent voice. It's trying to move with every sort of strand of opinion and ensure.
Yet another TERF dog whistle. And can I just point out, Tim, it's actually the TERFs who tend to be the loudest, okay? They're the ones going around screaming, if you allow trans women into female spaces, cis women will be raped. Well, trans women can already access female-only spaces. And many
trans women can get raped.
Yeah, as well. That's a good point. Yeah. And how many cisgendered women are raped by trans women? I'll tell you how many. 0. Okay?
Well, that the rights of different groups aren't trampled on as you progress the rights of
yeah. We've heard this TERF bollocks before.
Other groups. And I certainly think in the case, for example, of conversion therapy, there's an absolute commitment from the government to ban the worst examples of this. But there are cases.
Well, the worst examples, Tim, are holding fucking, exorcisms on LGBTQ people, thinking that they're demonically fucking possessed because they're LGBTQ.
Yeah.
And the Tory government seems to think that's okay. I kind of think that's pretty bad. Yeah.
Example.
Well, I mean, it's okay to tie up someone who's gay and constantly try to preach at them until they do what you say. I mean, some might argue that that's torture.
It is.
But they don't care. Well, yeah, it is. It absolutely is. I was being somewhat satirical there in terms of some might argue that it's torture. Yeah, it is absolutely torture. But they're fine with LGBTQ people being tortured, so long as they can listen to both sides and try to to comfort both sides. I mean,
I'm sorry.
One is being tortured, and the other is comfortable torturing people. But both arguments are equal.
Well, the thing is, there's no two sides to an argument. When one side is saying we should treat a set of people as second-class citizens and be able to persecute them. And I know the TERFs are going to go, what about, cis women being persecuted by trans people? Look, allowing trans people, trans women access to female-only spaces is not persecuting cisgendered women because trans women are women. Oh, dearie me.
Where you have this is part of what I was talking to Jane Ozanne about, where a church, a gay member of a church, may be open to sort of being prayed about, for example, with sexual status.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Tim, you can't pray the gay away. Okay? You just can't. People are born gay. Okay? Fuck's sake, I can't believe that this has been said on a fucking, current affairs show on the fucking BBC by someone who is supposedly, a well-respected political pundit.
Yeah.
Pray the gay... Fuck me! What fucking century are you in, Tim? Mind you are a conservative, so...
I assume the 13th century.
Fucking hell.
Don't want to get too close to the Renaissance era. That's too gay for
This
them.
is a guy who supports he says to get rid of the worst excesses of fucking, conversion therapy but he's just said that, conversion therapy is okay. This is a guy who fucking supports conversion therapy. I mean, he has said he's a Christian, it's kind of telltale sign here.
A sexual identity. And we don't want to get into a position, I think, where we have a law banning those sorts of spiritual practices from taking place. And so,
yes, we do. I do want to ban, churches from being homophobic and transphobic and encouraging the persecution of people for shit they actually can't help.
Yeah, so, there's a big difference between having a church gathering to try to pray the gay out of someone and doing it in your own home. No one can control what you pray about in your own home. No law is going to be there for listening in to what you say at your own home. The problem is when churches do it, they're getting a large congregation of people to pressure someone, oftentimes, into trying to no longer be themselves and to fit into, whatever sort of view that the church has.
Therefore, I think the cautious approach by the government, the consultative approach, is the right one.
Adam?
Well, the members of the panel pointed out that if you create those loopholes, what you'll end up is in the position where people are continue to be coerced to.
As I said, and well done for bringing that up. Yeah, it's actually true.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Well, that's what the government's own.
Yeah, but do you want government laws banning churches from praying in certain ways? Because
yes. If they're praying, to victimize any member of the LGBTQ community, yes.
Yeah, well, I
Absolutely.
mean, it's true with any sort of law. I mean, most people wouldn't want churches to pray by virgin sacrifice. That's not generally accepted nowadays. And that is illegal for a lot of reasons. So religion shouldn't make you exempt from laws against torture.
that's the danger that we could have.
You cannot allow a position where you provide a loophole for conversion therapy of any kind. You have to be absolutely comprehensive in explicitly prohibiting this, and that's the problem with the government's position. They will continue to allow a situation where people are effectively coerced into coercion under the guise of religious sensibility.
So you want laws prescribing what churches, mosques, and other religious institutions can pray about?
Yes.
Anything.
I find that quite a dark, frightening prospect.
Well, I find you quite dark, frightening prospect, Tim. With you and your Christian chums, you know, wanting to carry out fucking exorcisms on people who are LGBTQ. Oh, fuck this. So essentially, you get the flavour of it, you know.
Yeah. Oh, who's the person who didn't speak in this? Is that another conservative person?
No, she's the editor of a local newspaper. I forgot which one.
Okay.
But anyways,
yeah.
you get the drift, okay?
Yeah.
Talking about homophobia and transphobia. Of course, we have the.
Oh.
Alex Salmond is at it again. The narcissistic nonce. Alex Salmond defends Alba Party candidate spreading irresponsible lie about Stonewall and the age of consent. Actually, it's not irresponsible. It's fucking slanderous.
Yeah.
Alex Salmond has defended an Alba Party candidate who lied. And can I just say also, this is really cynical of Alex Salmond. Basically, this is because the SNP are LGBTQ progressive, right? His nationalist party, you know, are the anti-woke party. This is all about, you know, furthering the career of this narcissistic, egotistical nonce.
Yeah, and also spreading blatant homophobia.
So, Alex Salmond has defended an Alba Party candidate who lied about Stonewall wanting to lower the age of consent after she received threats of violence. Margaret Lynch told the Alba Party online women's conference on Saturday, this person a TERF by any chance, that Stonewall and LGBT Youth Scotland were advocating for reducing the age of consent to 10 years. That is a blatant slanderous lie.
Yeah.
The claims were flatly denied by both LGBT plus charities, who said they were appalled by Lynch's remarks, demanded she retracted her accusations and apologised. Lynch's comments resulted in a flurry of backlash online, prompting a defence from Salmond. In a statement, the former First Minister revealed Lynch's comments led to a deluge of threats against Alba women. Now, obviously, threats of violence are absolutely wrong. Please don't do it. It just it basically allows them to play the fucking victim. Okay.
Yeah, and the honest truth is that almost just like, because I watched Kevin Logan's stream yesterday, and he showed threats of violence against him. Like, it's not that it's easy to find.
Yeah,
it's not a real defense.
He said the conference was a safe space where Alba women were encouraged to express their concerns over a range of subjects. Of course, Salmond went on Newsnight and said that, you know, safe spaces for women was going to be an issue in the Scottish parliamentary elections. Yeah. Dog whistling to TERFs, were you, Alex? Just a bit. And that people who threaten our women candidates will be held to account. Salmond continued, women participating are entitled to do so without being subjected to Twitter pylons or even worse, threats of violence. Thus, we are drawing the line. Yeah, okay, you know, as I said, threats of violence are wrong. But what she said was fucking slanderous, okay? And dangerous as well.
And
she's obviously
regular Twitter pylons to,
you know, this is just as bad as
every trans person.
This is just as accused of basically accusing me of being a paedophile simply for being a trans woman.
Yeah. Which is the classic argument. It's the same argument they made against gay men.
Yeah, we'll cover that on Friday. That's Abigail. Right, yeah. So the BBC receives 100,000 complaints over Prince Philip coverage.
I suspect they're downplaying the number because I feel like everyone
I'm
in Britain
surprised.
probably complained about that.
I'm surprised actually that the BBC actually released the figures. The BBC has received 100,000 complaints from members of the public over its coverage of the Duke of Edinburgh's death, according to the Sun newspaper. The corporation cleared its schedules to cover the news when Prince Philip died on Friday. No, I mean, look, cleared the fucking schedules. You know, all they needed to do was to report he's dead. You know, that's it. You could, but no, we had to have we had to have wall-to-wall sycophantic fucking tributes to a fucking racist tosser.
Yeah, like if they really cared about it that much, they could do a 1-hour tribute at like one of the most popular times, and that's that.
Yeah, EastEnders and the MasterChef final were replaced by news programmes, while BBC 4 was taken off air completely. The BBC said we are proud of our coverage and the role we played during moments of national significance. However, it declined to confirm the number of complaints it received. So they haven't released the...
Oh, okay. So this was
This is
released by the Sun, so likely someone who...
well, we do
BBC.
know statistically that the BBC and ITV's ratings plummeted when they decided to have wall-to-wall fucking tributes for the racist tosser, and it wouldn't surprise me if they received something like that. I do think it was over the fucking top. It really was. And of course, I should actually remind people. Prince Philip is still dead, by the way. He is. Honestly, he's still dead. I know the BBC haven't actually told you that in the last 10 minutes, so I just thought I should remind you. And of course, we're in 8 days of mourning. Oh, it's really sad.
No.
Yeah,
actually, 8 days of mourning for
the funeral's on Saturday, right? Here's right.
The funeral hasn't even happened yet.
The funeral's
There's still more.
The funeral's on Saturday.
God damn it!
And
I kept thinking it was over by now.
I saw someone. Someone actually post online. They said, "Make the funeral pay-per-view, then we'll see who really gives a shit."
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's just felt like so long.
So, anyways, due to Prince Philip's death, the BBC have been, Prince Andrew was rolled out on the BBC to give a tribute to his father. But there are ramifications. Well, I think we all know about Prince Andrew and his association with a certain Jeffrey Epstein, and the fact that the FBI want to question him about sexual assault allegations. And yet the BBC thought it was okay to have him at the top of the news.
That explains the creepy grin.
Right, well, let's get into this. This is Navarra Media's take on it, and I tend to agree.
The death of Prince Philip has been used by the press to demonstrate their royalist credentials and by politicians to show their undying loyalty and sympathy to the Queen. But what about the royals themselves? Now, of course, I have no doubt the Windsors are genuinely mourning for a husband, a father, and a grandfather, but this is also an institution for whom every public outing is meticulously planned to maintain a particular self-image. And it's in that context that more than a few eyebrows were raised when this member of the firm was rolled out on BBC News.
Yes, it's a terrible loss. My father said to me on the telephone a few months ago that we're all...
You're a nonce.
All in the same boat.
Or at least he should have.
Well, no, because they're all in the same boat, which implies that they're all nonces.
Always remember that. But occasionally, we in the family are asked to stand up and show compassion and leadership. And unfortunately, with my father's death, it has brought at home to me not just our loss, but actually the loss that everybody else has felt for so many people who've, as it were, died and lost loved ones during the pandemic. And so we are all in the same boat, slightly different circumstances because he didn't die from COVID.
Now, first of all, we're not all in the same boat. Not everyone else gets 8 days of national mourning and simulcasts on BBC One and BBC Two, and no one's allowed to watch any normal TV when they die. It's not only the fact that he didn't die of COVID, which separates him from the 140,000 people who tragically passed away from COVID-19. It's the response that his death gets, a disproportionate response. Second, and more importantly, what the hell is Prince Andrew doing on BBC News? Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you'll know that Andrew is the friend, or was the friend, of convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. Andrew himself. And
so was Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah, put down your pipe and smoke it, QAnon fuckwit.
So was Bill Clinton, I believe, as well.
Yeah, well, that doesn't surprise me. But yeah, I was.
I mean, Bill Clinton was a former Republican.
Yeah.
Who decided to run as a Democrat.
It's the QAnon fuckwits. You know, they always go on about how Trump is meant to basically save the world from some satanic elite who eat fucking babies, and it's like, hold on, he was friends with Jeffrey fucking Epstein. Hello.
Yeah.
And good friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Oh yeah.
Is accused of sexual abuse. And this is the Andrew who has been hiding from the news, from the BBC, from the media since 2019. So he's refused to speak to anyone, refused to answer questions about all the legitimate issues that his past behavior raises. And now he comes out 2 years later on the one occasion when no one can ask him anything about his relationship to a convicted paedophile and can only ask him about his father who's passed away. Now, it's not an accident that he was rolled out onto BBC News. This is an attempt to launder his reputation. And the BBC really, really played along. By the way, it wasn't that a camera went to that church and they were like, oh, this is a bit awkward because Andrew's come to talk to us and obviously it's a bit inappropriate to put out an interview with...
Yeah, but would they interview fucking Jimmy Savile if he was still alive and turned up to the fucking church? No, fucking wouldn't, yeah. You know, this is the same fucking...
Someone who is refusing to give an interview to the FBI even though they want his support to go forward with a very, very serious investigation into industrial child abuse. No, they didn't say, oh, we'll just have to film it and then we'll put it away afterwards. No, this led BBC News. On BBC News at 10 last night, so Sunday night, you had as their main clip Prince Andrew saying...
Damn, I seem to have missed that one. Yeah, I've not been watching a lot of the BBC the last two days.
Why not? Don't you want wall-to-wall coverage about a 99-year-old man who was an asshole who died for fucking more than a week? Holy shit! I just, it boggles my mind that it's still on. Like, it's just so strange to me because every instinct I have assumed it was already done, but it's not. There's still like half a week to go. What the hell?
Saying something nice about his father, no mention of the fact that this guy, very close friends with a convicted paedophile, this guy is avoiding an interview with the FBI, which basically means that he is...
Which is a failure of fucking journalism. Can I just start to say that? You know...
Well, yeah.
The fucking news media are meant to be the fucking fourth estate. They are meant to be part of the democratic process in challenging those who rule over us about their particularly about their fucking misconduct. And, Andrew is possibly guilty of, a great deal of fucking misconduct of the most egregious of kind.
Standing in the way of an investigation into industrial child abuse. Now, Ash, I can see why Prince Andrew would love this opportunity to go on the TV and talk about something other than his relationship to Jeffrey Epstein, or whether or not he can sweat, or what day he did or did not eat at Pizza Express. But why the hell did the BBC...
Oh yeah, I forgot. Andrew's not going to be able to attend the funeral on Saturday because he does actually have a prior engagement at a Pizza Express in Woking. Yeah, with a 14-year-old girl. Oh.
Play along with this.
A lot has changed about the relationship between the media and the royal family. It was really after, the age of Diana that instinctive knee-jerk deference did come to an end. However, there is still a very cozy relationship between the royals and the media, because the media wants access and the royals want favorable coverage. Those are two things which are occasionally in tension, but often work quite well in concert with one another. So if the BBC know that they can get FaceTime and a direct interview with a senior royal, it doesn't matter that it's completely inappropriate for the BBC to land an interview.
You see, that's a very good point. You see, one of the problems we've had with the BBC is recently is that they've basically been sucking the Tory. Well, the BBC generally does suck establishment cock, but they, particularly in the last few years, more and more they've been sucking Tory cock.
Yeah,
and part of the reason is that they're scared they won't get access to Tory politicians to ask some stuff.
Oh,
right?
By the way, I see... I'm sorry to interrupt this. I see right there in Sky News, the Duke of Edinburgh has died.
Has he? Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. Anyways, go and check this out for yourselves. I don't always play the whole thing here because it's not fair on Novara Media. They should should be able to get ad revenue. But anyways, so yeah, check that out. Anyways, so talking about the fact that you heard Andrea Leadsom say earlier that there just hasn't been time to get legislation through the Parliament to outlaw conversion therapy. Well, they had enough fucking time to suck for MPs to suck Prince Philip's dick. They spent 7.5 hours sucking his dick.
Why? That's just tiring.
Yeah.
I would be...
So don't tell me you haven't got enough time.
time.
Yeah? It's fucking... It's the fucking hypocrisy. It's just fucking ludicrous. Yeah?
Yeah.
That the MPs could have spent, MPs could have spent better time, the time better debating far more fucking important fucking issues, as I say, like outlawing conversion therapy.
But you see, it's super important for them to worship their true king, which they, never was a king. I realize he was only ever a prince, but they worship him like a king. And it's super important for the democratic process, right?
Not. Okay. The other thing is, one of the reasons the BBC put wall-to-wall fucking sympathetic glowing tributes to Prince Philip all day Friday was because they didn't want to piss off a handful of fucking Tory MPs. Never mind about the actual people who watch the fucking channel. No, we're not concerned about them. We're scared that Tory MPs might not like it. Well, fuck them. They don't like much. Yeah. Right. Well, John Pilger, obviously veteran journalist, he's had a few things to say about the BBC. Worth a listen.
BBC Grundy mean.
Oh, and before anyone says, well, yeah, but RT are Russian propagandists. I know, but what he says here is true. Okay?
Yeah.
The BBC has the most brilliant production values. It produces the most extraordinary natural history and drama series. But the BBC is and has long been the most refined propaganda service in the world. I find the double standards, these bogus attacks on RT,
Wow.
if you compared...
Well, that bit I don't agree with, because
yeah, I mean,
RT is basically Putin's fucking propaganda megaphone.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is what happens a lot of times. Sometimes abusers call out other abusers because it makes them. They feel like it makes them look nicer, and.
But generally, what he says about the
similarly,
BBC,
propagandists
but
call
generally,
out other propagandists as well.
With the BBC's record of suppression. I remember calculating during the Irish War, something like 48 major BBC programs, either banned, doctored, or delayed.
That's true. So, you know, so basically the BBC saying that RT doesn't report on Chechnya.
Freya brought up something good. All state broadcast networks are propaganda machines.
That's absolutely true, Freya. You're absolutely right.
Around the BBC, there's the sort of cult that if you enter the BBC, you immediately rise to a nirvana of impartiality.
Actually, I don't think anyone.
The BBC impartial. Fuck off. Fucking.
I don't think anyone believes that the BBC is impartial. Much like people don't believe Fox News is fair and balanced.
And there are two sides to everything. That's nonsense to begin with, but the BBC is an extension of the established order in this country.
That's
I don't
true.
think that's even controversial. It just is. It does some very fine work, but it just is. And for it to claim that it isn't, and others are really subverting the British state by giving another view, is just absurd.
They can both subvert.
So generally, I agree with what I generally agree with what John Pilger says. I mean, John Pilger's had a lot of good things to say. I always like that he gave this speech about. He said all those Vietnam films like Apocalypse Now and Platoon. He said they're great films, but can we remember that America was the occupying force in Vietnam, which is true.
The French.
Well, yes. But what I'm saying is what he said there was actually, you know, about the Vietnam War was fucking true. And he did actually in his day report on the Vietnam War. I remember seeing reports. I mean, I wasn't alive I was barely alive when America pulled out. Anyways, I thought it was funny.
I still love that.
I'm not British, I am English. Displaying the Union Jack, which is the British flag, as someone points out. Wrong flag.
Yeah.
What is the right one? Oh, jeez. So, nationalists are busy wrapping themselves up in fucking flags, and now they don't even know what fucking flag to wrap themselves up in. They're so fucking stupid. The stupidity of racists is fucking hilarious. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That is one of my memes of the week. Right.
I mean, I got it right. Admittedly, I looked up on
Friday.
the internet, but
what is so? Yes. It's time to shit on Starmer. Shit on Starmer! Because he's shit. Actually, Starmer had a good PMQ today because obviously he's been challenging the Tories over the Greensill scandal. And a lot of people say, oh, this is a return to the sleaze of the Tory government in the 1990s, which basically essentially brought down the Tory government, the John Major government. But the difference from the 1990s to now is that at least Labour offered an alternative. Okay, it wasn't quite what I wanted, but at least it was, I'll give Tony Blair his due. They actually had things called policies. Keir Starmer doesn't have any of that. So, he can attack the Tory government all they want. But when someone gets into the voting booth, it's like, well, what do Labour offer? Well, at the moment, fuck all. They're not offering. So, basically, yet another poll is saying that Labour are going to lose the Hartlepool by-election. Well, it won't be a surprise. Come May the 6th, I will be one of the people not surprised when Labour lose, because they're going to. Anyways, I completely agree with this. New polling says it's time for a coup against Starmer. Well, I have to say, I think at the beginning of this year, from the beginning of this year, if not before, it was time. Labour are going to get trashed at the Hartlepool by-election. They're going to get trashed at the local elections on the same day.
Wait, are you suggesting that Labour should have policies and have opinions and fight back against the Tories?
Yeah,
but that's scary. The Tories are so good. No, I'm just fucking.
Yeah.
Goddamn it.
So, well, this is another poll. Let's get into this. Basically saying Starmer needs to be ousted.
New polling says it's time for a coup against Keir Starmer.
Keir Starmer has been leading the Labour Party for just over a year. And judging by the latest opinion polls, this means that a coup is incoming, well only if you judge him by the standards Labour MPs held Jeremy Corbyn up to, obviously. Starmer, approval shot to pieces.
You see, here's the thing, as I said, it was, I kind of think at the beginning of this year it should have been done, because, as I say, Labour are going to get trashed in the local elections. There's no saving Labour from that, right?
Yeah.
But if they don't oust him after the local elections, Boris might think about going to the polls early. You never know. Because you'll see that Labour are in complete and fucking disarray. Yeah? They need a competent fucking... Labour needs a competent leader. And, I'm sorry to say this. Well, I'm not sorry to say, actually. I'm just stating fact here. The job is above it's beyond Starmer. It's above him. He is not capable. And as for, the other thing is, I'd imagine, after May the 6th, right, when Labour will get trashed, you will have... basically Labour MPs rally around him, right? Basically protecting him, okay? Saying we've already seen some MPs saying, well, the reason we're going to get trashed in the local elections is because the Tories have had a bounce due to the vaccine rollout, which is bollocks. That he's actually doing a good job. What? He's done fuck all.
Doing a good job at destroying the Labour movement.
Well, yeah, he's doing a good job at fucking killing the fucking Labour Party. He's doing a good job at doing fuck all. And doing fuck all is not a good job.
Stats for Lefties tweeted, Starmer is now facing his worst approval rating ever. Stats for Lefties tweeted, on whether Starmer is doing well or badly, well, 26%, -6, badly, 50%, +5, net rating, -24. This is Keir Starmer's worst net approval rating in any opinion poll, ever. In September his net rating was +20. Now it's -24. Via YouGov, the 12th of April, / since 15 March. YouGov's polling shows the don't knows have been steady in recent months. The polling also says that Starmer definitely doesn't look like a PM in waiting. Stats for Lefties tweet.
It's funny actually because the Starmer had there was a piece I think he wrote himself or ghostwritten, I guess, saying I don't want to be Boris Johnson. It was in the Observer, and my response to that was, well, Keir, you know you're not going to be Boris Johnson because Boris Johnson's fucking PM. You'll never be PM.
Tweeted on whether Starmer does or does not look like a PM in waiting. Does 22%, -3, does not 54%, +2, net rating -32. Via YouGov, the 12th of April, / since 15 March. This is Starmer's worst ever rating. The Labour leader also has a -27 net approval rating with 18-24-year-olds. And he's not.
Who have turned their back on the Labour Party since Jeremy Corbyn stepped down. Because, you know, the Labour Party, you know, Keir Starmer is you know, he's not interested in you know, the youth vote. And but yet it was the youth vote which helped propel, you know, Labour, particularly in 2017. So,
not even doing well with Labour voters. Boris Johnson, however, is riding high with Tories.
Can I just point out, Boris Johnson's riding high. This is one of the most corrupt fucking Tory governments we've ever had. You know, the most incompetent when it's come to the fucking COVID-19 response.
Well, yeah, I mean, Trump Light has been really effective at motivating the Tories.
Stats for Lefties tweeted, Starmer's net approval with Labour voters is -7. Johnson's net approval with Conservative voters is +63 in response to Stats for Lefties tweeting, on whether Starmer is doing well or badly, 2019 Labour voters, well, 37%, -7, badly, 44%, +5, net rating, -7. Keir Starmer now has a negative net rating amongst Labour voters with YouGov for the first time ever. Via YouGov, the 12th of April, / since 15.
Anyways, you can go and read this for yourselves.
Yeah.
You can check out the stats, but essentially Starmer's fucked, okay? And he needs to be gone. If Labour, it's not just the Labour Party. It's actually British democracy, because democracy is only as strong as its opposition, and at the moment we don't seem to have a functioning fucking opposition.
Well, opposition to the fascists.
Right. Yeah. I think I told you about this, didn't I?
Sorry, that was my phone.
The Anti-Defamation League calls for Fox News to fire Tucker Carlson after the host embraced white supremacist great replacement. Oh, God.
Yep.
Right, so, yeah, the great replacement theory is an anti-Semitic conspiracy about how us Jews are allowing for mass immigration to the West to basically replace white people.
Yep.
And, well, this is, you know, Tucker Carlson embracing this. Is it, you know, any surprise? No.
No. I mean, he's been helping write the white supremacist handbook for quite a while now, so.
Yeah.
Was it the Daily Show?
Yeah, I've got that clip.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, Fox News are standing by him. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
I guess the only way you're ever going to get sacked from fucking Fox News is if you say vote Democrat. or yeah, Bernie's got some good ideas. Yeah, that's probably that. You know, is going to get you sacked. But you know, being anti-Semitic, you know, conspiracy theorist, and well, no, hey, you know, we'll stick by you.
Yeah, this is full. This is the classic great replacement theory thing. Not even like, you know, not even banning, not even being against Hispanic people from Mexico or Islamophobic. Not even the Islamophobic one. This is full. It's Israel's fault.
Citing Israel, Tucker Carlson defends replacement theory and responds to the ADL. Fox News to Anti-Defamation League. We won't fire Tucker Carlson for endorsing a white supremacist theory. Lachlan Murdoch, the CEO of the Fox Corporation, wrote in a letter to the Anti-Defamation League that Fox News will not be firing Tucker Carlson for endorsing replacement theory, a white supremacist conspiracy. The ADL had called for Carlson to be fired because, in a segment on the right-wing cable news channel last week, Carlson endorsed the idea that there is a coordinated campaign to replace the population of the United States with immigrants from the Third World. The conspiracy theory that Jews are orchestrating a great replacement of white Westerners with non-white immigrants is popular among white supremacists and fueled the 2018 Pittsburgh synagogue shooting, among other attacks.
Yeah.
Carlson took to the air Monday night and both doubled down on his statement and attacked the ADL. Carlson cited an essay.
And if you needed any more evidence of what happened at the Tree of Life synagogue,
yeah,
Katie Hopkins, I remember this well. Katie Hopkins, but when after in the aftermath of that, basically said that if the rabbi hadn't supported mass immigration, it wouldn't have happened. Well, that is obviously feeding into the Great Replacement, conspiracy theory, which of course Kate Hopkins buys into because she's a far right hateful cunt. Now, you did mention this, the Daily Show.
Before that, can I mention one more thing in chat that Freya mentioned from earlier? Boris is doing so well because Keir is doing such a bad job.
Yeah, I'd agree with her. So, anyways, the Daily Show have spliced together shit which Tucker has said with excerpts from the various manifestos spree killers have written before they go on a spree kill.
Yeah.
The far right, people like from the Christchurch shooter, obviously.
Yeah, and before this, by the way, there is like a full segment on the Daily Show about Tucker Carlson and white supremacy that goes into more detail, just so you know.
Well, anyways.
You need to unmute it. Oh, there.
If you use the term replacement, the Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. That's what's happening, actually. Let's just say it, that's true. Democrats know if they keep up the flood of illegals into the country, they can eventually turn it into a flood of voters for them. When you offer someone citizenship, free health care, free education, housing vouchers, and free food, all things they don't have in their own country, their political success does not depend on good policies, but on demographic replacement, and they'll do anything to make sure it happens. So every time they import a new voter, I become disenfranchised as a current voter. They're diluting it. No, they're not allowed to do that. Why are we putting up with this?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we're pressed for time, so basically I'm just going to do this one. I'll save the rest of the stories for Friday. Or possibly...
You might be able to do one more. We'll see.
Right, no. Right, so basically a small a kid basically challenged a redneck about them flying the Confederate flag, and the Confederate just freaked out on them. Sorry, the redneck. Yeah.
I can't hear it too well.
No, I'm sorry. The sound isn't great.
Yeah.
It's an American flag. Oh no, it's a goddamn racist flag. It's not a racist flag. Yeah, it is. I'm not stupid. Yes you are. No, I'm not. It's not a racist flag. Yeah, it is. It actually represents... Why don't you actually YouTube what the flag actually represents? Oh my god, but I don't know what it actually looks like.
Basically, the kid is saying it's a racist flag, and the redneck is saying it's not. Well, it is. The Confederacy was about, you know, owning slaves. That's racism. Okay.
Yeah. We should be good for another 15 minutes.
Do your research before you actually come to me and sound like a fucking retard.
And basically, he calls him a fucker. You heard that, didn't you?
Yeah, the fucking R slur. That needs to die. That slur needs to die. It really does.
You're the one coming to me telling me to remove a flag. Yes. It's a freedom that fly that flag. It's a flag, and it's not racist. Do your research.
It's a symbol of racism, you stupid redneck idiot.
Yeah.
And you know full well it is. You know, you do. You know, the people who fly the Confederate flag, they fucking know what it's about, right?
Yeah.
You know, but good on this kid, you know, for basically, you know, standing up to this guy. I think it's disgusting that he basically just sits there and calls him a, you know, fucking, you know, arsler, you know?
Yeah.
Right. We'll save that for Friday. Texas will brand parents of trans children as child abusers if they support their kids.
Yep.
Do you want to read this?
Okay. Texas Senate Bill 1646 would brand the parents of trans kids as child abusers if they support their kids, you know, with transitioning. Parents could face jail time and have their children taken away if the bill passes. Despite overwhelming evidence that supporting trans kids is better for their mental and physical health, Texas Republicans are willing to sacrifice personal freedom for government regulation. The law would redefine child abuse to include consenting to or assisting in the administering or supplying of a puberty suppression prescription drug or cross-sex hormone to a child, other than an intersex child, for the purposes of gender transitioning or gender reassignment.
We kind of, I think we were sort of, because the other night we were talking about what's happening in Arkansas, and we said, well, parents will just take their kids across the state line, right, to get treatment. But this would prevent them from even doing that, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the very least, it prevent them from doing it in that state. I'm not sure. I'm not sure when it comes to laws like this, when it comes to state laws that are so unsupported by it, because I don't know if it says
now,
even if it's not from a different state.
This is the interesting bit. The group Doctors for Change released an open letter to the sponsors of the legislation, pointing out that the bill flies in the face of medical research and standards of care. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But hey, when have Republicans ever listened to fucking science? You know? Scientific fact. You know? They're all. It's all about persecuting, trans people to basically pander to their Christian fundamentalist fucking base. Yeah, and and of course the other reason is they don't want to persecute trans people, is to basically, have a culture war to deflect from the actual cause of a lot of people's misery in the United States. Neoliberal capitalism.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Yeah, well, you know, we knew something like this would happen. I'm not being blasé about it. I'm just, I mean, what? There's nothing I can do, you know, and that's just the painful part. All I can do is tear my fucking hair out at the stupidity.
Yeah, and this is clearly in violation of a lot of practices, and this will probably go if it's signed into law, because this is a bill so far.
The other thing is, all these fucking anti-trans bills, right, are going to get challenged in the court, right? Courts in various states. And I would imagine it's all going to end up at the Supreme Court sooner or later. And you know, this is just going to, you know, persecute trans people and make lawyers even richer than they already are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now.
Oh, that fucker.
Yeah. Do you want to read this?
Yeah, we've known for quite some time that the 60 anti-trans boilerplate legislation moving through state legislatures had a common origin. They all said the same thing, except with a few words changed. These edits were done after the bill was placed in Republicans' hands to obscure the origin of the bill and make it appear as if the sponsor authored it. The Alliance Defending Freedom, an Arizona hate group, has no qualms with admitting that they authored this legislation.
Sorry, stop. The Alliance for Defending Freedom. What? You know, everyone gets freedom other than fucking trans people. Fucks.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, they are.
I mean, the fact that they're a hate group and the Republicans are doing business with them, that's the other thing. I mean.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're probably a hate group by the. I don't know if they're a federal hate group. They might just be a hate group as defined by the ACLU.
And the Southern Law
because the ACLU have the potential to have some variation from the FBI hate group list, but yeah.
Go on.
Oh yeah, imagine if this is being done to anyone else, say the Irish or the Jews, and the outrage that would ensue. The Southern Poverty Law Center explains why the Alliance Defending Freedom, a so-called Christian group, must be considered a hate group. The SPLC lists ADF as a hate group because it supported the idea that being LGBTQ+ should be a crime in the U.S. and abroad, and believes that it's okay to put LGBTQ+ people in prison for engaging in consensual sex. It has also supported laws that require the forced sterilization of trans Europeans.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, and these are the people pushing for all these anti-trans, bills. For fuck's sake.
Yeah. Oh, they linked it to pedophilia, because of course the homosexual agenda will destroy society. Yeah, they always say shit like that.
Yeah. Really, I kind of think that trans people need to go and protest outside the offices of this group. I know some trans people are probably scared too, because our militias will fucking turn up and shit. But this is what it's going to have to take. I kind of think.
Yeah.
I can't fucking believe. As it says, if this was done to the Irish or us Jews, there'd be a fucking outrage. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not but depends on the people when it comes to talking about Jewish conspiracies, given the popularity of Tucker Carlson.
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. You know, in 5 years or 10 years from now, you know, who knows if Trump is back in office and the Republicans have the control of Congress. You know, who knows? You know, Jews could be persecuted once again. You know.
Yeah, not
you know,
not before we're persecuted. We are persecuted for being trans. That'll come first.
Yeah. Ah, yes. Right. Sorry. So, Capitol Police told to hold back on riot response to January 6 report finds. Yeah, we kind of already knew this, but it's good to the fact that there's been an investigation. And I hope heads roll. Really.
Yeah.
Yeah? Despite being tipped that Congress itself is the target on January the 6th, Capitol Police were ordered not to use the most powerful crowd control weapons, according to a scathing new watchdog report. Also, there's another report I saw, and I forgot to put it in, but Mike Pence had actually called for the military to be called on. He did.
Well, Mike Pence didn't want to be hung.
No.
As was the rioters' plan.
Washington, the Capitol Police had clear advance warnings about the January 6th attack. Yeah, look, I actually remember Dusty Smith, of all people, right? He showed that on the Donald.win, or you know, or the previous Reddit board there was, right? They were fucking planning it in the fucking open.
Yeah.
Sorry. So, go on, read.
Sure. So, including potential for violence in which Congress itself is the target. But officers were instructed by their leaders not to use their most aggressive tactics to hold off the mob. According to a scathing new report by the agency's internal investigator. In a 104-page document, the Inspector General Michael A. Bolton...
Has he cut his ponytail off yet? That's you're probably not going to get that joke. It's a joke for...
No. Wait, does he have the same name as... yeah, he's got the same name as same last name as Bolton.
Michael Bolton. Yeah, don't you remember Michael Bolton? Oh.
Well, the
singer.
Yeah, because he was in.
He was fucking awful.
Whatchamacallit? Lonely Island. He was in one of their things, one of their parody things.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of like he seems like he has a good sense of humor, or at the very least is willing to make fun of himself. So
yeah.
In a 104-page document by Michael Bolton, criticized the way the Capitol Police prepared for and responded to the mob violence on January 6th. The report was reviewed by the New York Times and will be the subject of a Capitol Hill hearing on Thursday. Mr. Bolton found that the agency's leaders failed to adequately prepare despite explicit warnings that pro-Trump extremists posed a threat to law enforcement and civilians, and that the police used defective protective equipment. He also found that the leaders ordered their civil disturbance unit to refrain from using its most powerful crowd control tools, like stun grenades, to put down the onslaught. Did they use tear gas? I'm not
they
sure
didn't.
They even used tear gas. Yeah.
No.
I mean, they shouldn't anyways because it's chemical warfare, but still. The report offers the most devastating account to date of the lapses and miscalculations around the most violent attack on the Capitol in 2 centuries. 3 days before the siege, a Capitol Police
and of course, who were the last people to attack the Capitol? in such a way?
Oh, the
British.
Fucking British.
Yeah, I know. Burnt down the White House. Hey.
Yeah. But I mean, like, they wonder why we don't suck the cock of Prince Philip too. Burned down our fucking White House. We're still pissed about that. Learn about the War of 1812.
That's why you need assault rifles. It's just in case just in case the British come back to finish off what they started,
Yeah, that's why we need all the M16s and M4As and any number of other assault rifles.
Go on.
3 days before the siege, a Capitol Police intelligence assessment warned of violence from supporters of President Donald J. Trump, who believed his false claims that the election had been stolen. Some had even posted a map of the Capitol complex's tunnel system on pro-Trump message boards.
Yeah. So this is not telling us anything we didn't already know, okay? It's good as now we've got it. There's been an investigation, which has confirmed it. Now, lastly, some sort of good news, I guess. Trump's facing another lawsuit. Police. I kind of knew that this would happen. Police officers sued Donald Trump for injuries resulting from Capitol riot. Law seeks damages for physical and emotional injuries caused by Trump's wrongful conduct inciting a riot on January the 6th. Two U.S. Capitol police officers have filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump, accusing him of inciting the deadly 6th of January insurrection and saying he was responsible for physical and emotional injuries they suffered as a result. Yeah, you see, we thought that this might happen, and it's good that it is. The only thing is, I can see how it can be argued that he didn't incite this. I mean, to me, he did. Yeah? He pretty much did.
Although, I'm not sure...
I don't know how much proof they need for to prove incitement.
So they went over.
But I mean, look. If they're also the other thing is if they're also, I don't know if it's mentioned, but if they're also saying Rudy Giuliani, I don't have a better bet there because Rudy Giuliani basically blooded. I forgot what exactly he said, but it was akin to let's have an insurrection.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is Eagle did a good breakdown in terms of the legal side of incitement to violence. And it's actually hard to make a legal case against Trump for inciting violence. That said, technically, you don't require a legal case to impeach a president.
Well, no, I was about to say no because I said that. This is the thing. Trump's he goes he basically he'll hint, he'll imply, right?
Yeah.
But he won't outrightly say it, right? Whereas Rudy Giuliani, I remember, I can't remember the exact words, but it was essentially, let's go have a riot, let's go and have an insurrection. And I think they have a better case against him because his words were a lot clearer in their purpose, right? That's what I'm saying. However, I would speculate that Trump might try and settle this out of court to sweep it under the carpet.
Yeah, that may happen too.
Yeah.
It's also hard to say because I think Legal Eagle's breakdown was with result to criminal charges, and this would be because he's being sued. This would be a civil case, so therefore you don't require proof beyond a reasonable doubt with a civil case.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, I hope one of these lawsuits does actually end up in court, right? All the
and I hope he wins, because there is still a chance of him.
You hope he wins. You hope he wins. You hope Trump wins, do you?
No, I hope the officer suing Trump wins.
All right. Okay. I just thought we should make that clear.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, folks, that brings to an end another edition of Botha Rants. Okay, Ozma, do you want to tell people where they can find you?
OzmaInTheDark.com. Pew pew, and also the Fluid Voice, which I'm on.
You know, no one can see
Wednesdays and
you.
Sundays.
No one can see you mocking having a gun, don't you?
Yeah, I know. I don't care. It doesn't matter if nobody can see me. I'll do it anyways, because I don't want to break that instinct. You know, if I have to use it on camera, let's say in about a half an hour on Rainbow Shelter News, which is where I'll be then, along with you, Sophia. So
yeah, and I'd imagine
check out the Fluid Voice channel.
And I imagine we'll be talking about exactly the same fucking stories.
No, there's a lot of the stories are different. There's like a couple stories that we might talk about that's the same, but there's yeah, there are different stories.
Right. Right.
Well, I mean, somewhat because I live in the U.S., so like it's a little easier to focus on some of the U.S. stuff. But yeah, two of the stories are definitely the same.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, right, I've got a parish notice. Tomorrow, I am scheduled to debate Chaos is Mel. If you obviously, I have shared viewership with Kevin Logan's channel. She was on Kevin Logan's channel last week, and I kind of thought that Kevin was about to lose the plot, because Chaos is Mel, he's what people class as a tanky, and she admits she's a bit of a troll. However, I'm not going to be talking about, you know, I know Volsh, or is it Vosh, debated her recently, and she denied there was genocide going on with the Uyghur Muslims in China, and Kevin had that debate with her as well. I'm not going to have that debate with her. I'm going to be having a debate about trans liberation, because, well, we're both trans, and that's what interests me. So that will be at midnight tomorrow. Now, I might do a show tomorrow evening. There is a subject I do want to talk about, which is actually topical for Thursdays, funny enough. I've been meaning to get round to it. But, you know, I kind of think I need to save my strength for Mel. So, I don't know. Now, hopefully the Mel debate will be live. So if you're up, you know, come and join us. I will definitely be back Friday for the, you know, the latest LGBTQ and political news, and basically going through the stories I haven't covered tonight, because, you know, I've got to go and basically be on this other stream. Anyways, if you like this video, give it a like. If you like what I have to say, please share this on social media. Got any feedback, leave a comment down below. And most important of all, please subscribe. And thank you to all the new subscribers. I have had a bit of a boost in subscribers this week. So yeah, many thanks. Anyways, until the next time, please take care of yourself. Stay safe. And peace out.
Bye.